it won't work and you wouldn't get the results you want. You'd be called out on the technicality. So we started talking about the 6 different kinds of prayers last time. Prayer number 1 that we talked about was a prayer of what? Agreement. And the rule in the prayer of agreement is found, we don't have to turn to it, but it's found in Matthew 18 chapter, 19 verse, where it says, if 2 of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they shall ask, it shall be done for them. I want to emphasize the plurality. If 2 of you shall agree on earth as touching anything that they, the 2, shall agree on, it shall be done for them, the they, and the 2. So that prayer, in order for it to work, the 2 people or more have to be in agreement. I can't be believing for north and you believe for south and it worked. The prayer would be short-circuited or canceled out. So that kind of prayer is the prayer of agreement. Then we talked about what? Prayer of faith. Now I'm going to deal with that one in more detail because the prayer of faith is the primary prayer that the average Christian will pray most of the time. It's also called petition prayer. The prayer of petition or the prayer of faith is me and the Heavenly Father. You're not involved in this. I'm not involved in yours. This is not 2 of you agree. This is me and the Father. Not my wife and I and the Father. This is me and the Father. And the rule for that prayer is found in Mark 11:24. You don't have to turn to it. I'm going to deal with it in more detail a little later because it's such an important aspect and it's the primary prayer that most Christians will be led to pray. And that prayer says, what things soever you desire when you pray, believe you receive them, and you shall have them. Notice the difference in the prayer of agreement. If 2 of you shall agree on earth is touching anything that they shall have, it shall be done for them. This one says, what things soever you desire when you pray, believe you receive it, and you shall have, they shall. Difference in prayer. Okay? Then we looked at the prayer.
Take me to school, brother. Take me to school.
Prayer of consecration and dedication. That's the prayer that Jesus prayed in the garden where he used an if it be thy will. The prayer of consecration and dedication is a prayer where you're consecrating or dedicating yourself to do the will of God, but you don't know what the will of God is. In other words, the will of God is not specifically covered under the covenant. Anything that's in the covenant, if you put in if it be thy will at the end of the prayer, you have just deleted the prayer. It won't work because when you say if, you're saying you don't know, so you're praying in doubt and not in faith, and so it won't work. But most Christians think you're supposed to put a if it be thy will on the end of every prayer, thinking it's a mark or sign of humility, not realizing it's a sign of stupidity. Biblical stupidity. In other words, not being knowledgeable about what you're doing, thinking you're being sincere. But in the prayer of consecration and dedication, you would use an if it be thy will. Jesus only prayed it one time. And as I explained last time, and I don't want to go into the detail, but he was committing and dedicating himself to become the sin bearer for mankind. As I said, he had always had unbroken fellowship with the Father from eternity past. He'd never been separated from the Father. There'd never been a glitch in their relationship. But in order to become sin for man, he was going to have to be cut off from God. He didn't, in the natural, want to experience that, being cut off from God. Yet he did want to obey God and fulfill the call that God had placed upon his life to bear the sin of mankind, to set man free. But God didn't tell Jesus everything, because there's another statement that Jesus made one time when he talked about him coming back. He said, I don't know when I'm coming. The angel don't know. Only the Father knows the day that I'll be coming back. Well, it was the same thing with the plan of redemption. Jesus was saying, in essence, to God, if there's any other way to redeem mankind without me having to be separated from you and our fellowship broken, then let that be the way. However, not my will, but your will be done. See what I mean? That's the prayer of consecration and dedication. I gave you an example of that in reference to my own ministry when the Lord began to deal with me about